Hello my Moonies, this is the long-awaited Bee Cup tutorial. This is the Be Mine coffee mug that I just released for my Valentine's Day drop. This is similar to the OG one, just with a little twist. So you want to start off with base spray painting your cup, whatever color to match your glitter. Go ahead and glitter it in epoxy till smooth. Both of these have 2 coats of regular epoxy over it. The 2 glitters I used is by PDB. It is Kismet and Jade. I will link PDB down below in the description along with my coupon code. So once you have your cups to this point where they're smooth, you are now going to cut out your design with removable vinyl. That is key, guys. It has to be removable because this is like a peekaboo cup. The kind I use, I go to Hobby Lobby and get the Papermate one, the big roll. It is very inexpensive and I use it so much. So all we're doing right now is the design that you cut out that is going to be placed on the cup. For the peekaboo part, we're just adding it to the cup. I like to start out with the beehive in the back and then work on the design on the front so I can make sure they're aligned properly from front to back, very even. But it really doesn't matter what step you do it in or how you put this part on the cup. You just put it on the cup where you want it and where you see fit. Keep in mind you don't want to keep it too cluttered because you want to leave room for the next step of the vinyl as well as all the extra embellishments. So right here I'm putting the body of the bee and you see I'm leaving that space from the top to the top of the bee, and that is so that it gives me enough room to add that drip towards the end without the drip covering my main design on the front. So leave a little bit of room from the top so you have that space. And all I'm doing is framing out the front to main design and leaving space because remember, right now we're just putting on this vinyl to peek through when we pull it off after spray painting. So like right now, as you saw when I pointed, that was just the bee body. But after we spray paint, we have to put the vinyl bee on. So you want to leave that open space so you're not cluttering it too much. And then you just take all of your honeycomb pieces, and again, no right or wrong way to do this, just randomly put it on the cup in spots that you see needs it. Every one of my bee cups are a little bit different because I don't put all of the vinyl in the exact same spot as the other cup, so it makes it a little bit unique. So that's why I say no right or wrong way to do it. Just randomly put your honeycomb pieces in places that you see fit. Just keep in mind, leave those open spaces. You see how I have those open spaces? You want to leave open spaces so it doesn't look cluttered. Yes, I've said it, but I'm going to say it again because it is key. And don't forget to do your handles if you are doing a handled cup, as well as do the booty of y'all's cups. I see a lot of blank booties and you can make the bottom of a cup look gorgeous and match the main design of the cup. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm putting a few of the peekaboos on, but I'm leaving a little bit of space because again, I'm gonna go back in and put more vinyl work on after we spray paint this. So if you're wondering where I get all of my images from for this cup, I have Cricut Design Space. So I just type it in and I find the images on there and just piece it together. If you don't have that, you can go on Etsy and there's a lot of sellers that do sell the SVGs, very inexpensive. I've done that as well. Once you're done placing your removable vinyl, this is what it will look like right here. So when you're done with this, we are going to go ahead and spray paint over the cup. So as you can tell, I've already spray painted it. I did 2 coats of black. You can do whatever base coat you want. This time I did the black right here. And then I'm going to go in and do the speckle to it, which is like this right here. All I did is take a gloved hand and spray paint white on that gloved hand and flicked it on the cup. Just flick it on the cup. You can do as little of a splatter as you want or as much of a splatter as you want. There's no right or wrong way to do that. Again, make sure it's fully dried before you start removing this vinyl. So right here, I'm just removing all the vinyl that we previously put on to show the gorgeous glitter underneath, hence the name Peekaboo Method, because the glitter is peeking through. So I'm just using my weeding tool and removing all of that vinyl to show the gorgeous glitter. Be careful because you can skip, you can have your weeding tool skip and you can scratch your paint job. So just be very careful whenever you're removing this vinyl. But that's why I said it's key to have removable vinyl. And this is what it'll look like before we start doing the vinyl to make everything pop. So once you're finished removing all of the removable vinyl, you're left with this right here. Now it is time to put all the details on with the rest of the vinyl. So you should have cut out double of everything that you cut out previously for the removable part, but cutting it out in the color that you're going to use to outline everything. In my case, I'm using white, and I like to offset everything except for like the bee and the mine part. I put that on evenly. Everything else, like the honeycombs, the hearts, the beehive, I kind of offset it so it gives it like that 3D look. Now, I prefer to put on each honeycomb one at a time for that reason, so I can offset one group of honeycombs to the left and then move on to the next group of honeycombs and like offset it to the right or up or down, vice versa, whatever works best for you. To get the outlines of the honeycombs, all you do is when you cut out your main honeycomb design, that middle part is what you save for the removable part, and the outlined part of the honeycomb is what you use to actually outline it. That is also the same when it comes down to the beehive part, the exact same thing. Right now I'm placing on all the little baby bees that I put on the cup. Don't put too many on. You want to leave some space for the 3D elements as well. So I'm just randomly placing a few here and there, and as well as the butt of the cup. Now I'm going in with a Deco Color fine tip silver paint marker, fine tip, okay? And I'm doing the dashes of the bee like it's been flying away. I like to put a heart for the bee mine one, so make sure you draw out the heart in dashes first, and then connect one end of the heart to the bee, going to the bee, and the other end going towards like the group of honeycombs that it's coming off of. That's what I typically like to do. I love to make it to where all the little dashes look like a bee is flying away from the glittered honeycomb part. But again, there's no right or wrong way to do this. Do it how you see works for your design that you've already placed on your cup. You want to make sure this dries for a few hours before you put your next coat of epoxy on. Once this is dried, you will go in and epoxy one layer over all of your vinyl before you go into your next thing. I almost forgot to put the name of my business on the bottom, so that is what I'm doing right here. I like to do it in vinyl, and I do a reverse weeding technique because my letters are really intricate, but I went ahead and I added it to the bottom, and look at that booty of that cup. It's gorgeous. So while the cup is spinning with that coat of epoxy, we are going to go ahead and prep for the little 3D bee elements. So I get these bees off of Amazon. They either come in the pink and white striped or they come in yellow and black striped. Everybody asks how I change the colors of my bees. This is how. So I use acrylic paint and a fine tip like nail paint brush, and I base paint the stripes that I want to put the same color glitter over. So I want to keep the white, so I'm base painting these purple, and I'm going to go ahead and let that dry, and then I'm going to do the exact same thing with the other bees but in blue. You want to make sure you base paint it so that when you put the glitter over, it's kind of the same with the cup. You base paint it, then you put your glitter over it so that you don't see that stainless steel or whatever color that's underneath. Same exact concept. So once you're done base painting your bees, you're going to go ahead and set them to the side once they're dry. And then you're going to get some UV resin and put it in a small Dixie cup. You don't need a lot, you just need a small amount because you're just using it for the bodies of the bees. I'm using Resin Rockers as my UV resin. I absolutely love this UV resin, and I'm just putting a little bit in. I'm going to show you in a second about how much I put in each cup. So as you could tell, it's not a lot right there. And then you add the same glitter that you used for your base coats on the cups that you were doing to that UV resin. You don't want it too runny and you don't want it too thick. You want it in between to where you can like kind of pull up on the popsicle stick to let it glide over the section that you need to put that glitter on. I hope that makes sense. I'm going to show you in a second. So I'm doing the exact same thing as what I did with the purple, going ahead and adding it and mixing it in. This is how you add it to the bee. So hold the bee in one hand, pull up a little bit, put a little bit of the UV resin glitter mixture on your popsicle stick and glide it over that stripe that you base painted. Do the same thing to the bottom stripe and immediately throw it underneath your UV lamp to cure. You don't want to set it to the side and do all of them at once and then throw them under because it'll be a whole goopy mess. Trust me, it'll be a mess. So do one bee at a time, go ahead, glide it over, do both of the stripes, throw it under that UV lamp and continue to repeat the process for each bee. That is how I change the colors and add glitter to all my bees. You can even make them glow in the dark by adding like a glow in the dark pigment powder to that UV resin before you put it onto the bee. Once you're finished with all of your glittery bees, we are now going to add them to the cup. This cup, again, remember I put a whole layer of epoxy over the vinyl. So now this is the next step. We are going to attach the bees. You want to put a small dot, not a lot. We're just anchoring the bee onto the cup. And you want to put the wing of the bee on that small dot and put it underneath your UV light. You don't want to put a whole bunch of UV resin and have it goopy and stuff because remember, UV light has to hit the resin to cure it. And if you put it fully underneath the bee, it is metal and the UV light cannot penetrate it to fully cure it. And then you're going to have a goopy mess on your hands. You just continue to repeat this process and add as many bees as you want around your cup. There's no right or wrong way to do that. I like to just add a few of them, typically like 3 or 4, and this is what you're left with. The next step is you put it back on your turner and do another coat of epoxy over it to fully seal in those bees completely. So I've already put the layer of epoxy over this and now we're starting to do the drips. So I use a fast set epoxy for all my drips. My fast set epoxy of choice is Tumblerpoxy 2.0. It has not steered me the wrong way. It works every time for my drips. I have 10 mLs of part A and 10 mLs of part B in this cup, and I'm mixing for 6 minutes. So my timing for my drips is 6 minutes, then 12 minutes, then a 2 minutes. I will pop that up on the screen. So during this 6-minute timer, all you're doing is combining your part A and part B and fully mixing it through. I went ahead and sped it up right here. Once that 6-minute timer is done, you set that 12-minute timer, and that is when you add your glitter. Yes, I put a lot of glitter into my drips. That's because I want it completely opaque. I do not want my drips to go down and I see like clear spaces. So on this 12-minute timer, you don't want to set it and forget it. You want to mix your glitter in, but you also want to keep that epoxy moving. So kind of move it slowly. You don't want to whip it or anything. Just kind of move it around and keep it in your hand. You'll start feeling the cup heating up a bit, and that's because it's starting to thicken up. So right here, it's not ready. You see how runny it is? You don't want to add it at this point to your cup, or you're gonna have your drips all the way down to the bottom of your cup. Now this timing method, you might need to add a minute or take away a minute based on your environment that you're in. Everybody's environment is a little bit different, so just play around with it. Right there I showed, I had to take a little bomb break and have some chocolate. So again, I'm just moving it. You see right there I sped it up, but I'm just moving it slowly. It is starting to thicken. You see it's getting a lot thicker. It's still not at that point. I do test it on the side of a cup to see how the drips are flowing. Like right here, you see it's flowing pretty fast, so it's still not ready. Once that 12-minute timer is done, set that 2-minute timer, and you're going to be at the point after that 2-minute timer, it is ready to be thrown on a cup. Now, when you do coffee mugs or smaller cups, keep in mind you actually want it to be thicker than how you would want it for a 30-ounce or 20-ounce skinny, because you have only a small amount of room to work with, and you don't want those drips to go a lot longer on your cup. So this is in real time right here, putting the drips on. So you see it is pretty thick. It's not too thick, but it's pretty thick. It has like that stringiness to it. That's what you're looking for. As you could tell when I put it on, it doesn't immediately run down the cup. It stays in place and slowly drips down the cup. It is a fast set, so it's already almost at its full curing time to where it gets fully hard. And this is why I use a fast set, so it cures super fast and I don't have to worry about babysitting those drips. If you want a longer drip, go ahead and put more on your popsicle stick. If you want a shorter one, put less. Always start your drips to the right of your main design on the front of your cup, and work your way around to where you eventually get to the front. Reason for that is your drips, your first few drips are typically the longest, and you don't want that to be directly on the front of your cup and it completely covers up your main design. So I made a little boo-boo and dripped a little on the cup. I'm just wiping it off right here. It happens. It's okay. Just hurry up and grab it and get it off of that spot. Also, do not worry about if epoxy gets into the inside of your cup. We are going to go back and clean up the rim of this cup. So I'm now starting to work on the front, and you see I'm coming back to the front and doing a little bit at a time. Now, once I get to that front design, I'm not going to put that much on my popsicle stick. I want my drips to be a lot smaller, so they don't cover up the Be Mine part. Now, unfortunately, I did record me cleaning the rim of this cup and everything, but for some reason, I guess it got deleted. I don't know what happened, so I'm going to insert a clip of the tools I use and kind of explain how I clean all of that excess off of the top to get a nice clean rim. So here's the insert of the clip. So I will take a heat gun right here, and I'm just going to show you, and just heat up small sections at a time and use an X-Acto knife very, very carefully, guys, please carefully, and get that excess part off of the top from the drip. Then I go in with my Dremel. I prefer to use that to get all the main parts off to expose that stainless steel nice rim right here. That's what you always want to see before you do your final coat. You can use a flapper wheel, which is this. I prefer not to use it because the drips are pretty thick, so I prefer to use the other one. Once you put that final coat of epoxy on, you're left with this stunning Be Mine cup or B cup, whatever design you decided to do. If this tutorial helped you and you liked it, please hit that like button and